meditation and spiritual practice. I'm Rabbi Kavod Weider. I'm happy to gather with everybody on this 9th day of the Omer. And what we're doing during this week of the Omer, the period between Passover and Shavuot, which has opportunities every day for very specific spirit reflection, personal reflection, spiritual reflection on refining our own character. And each week has a different theme, and each day within that week focuses on different aspects of that theme. So our theme for this week is Gevura. Gevura means strength, and is where we started last week with Chesed, with loving kindness, with that kind of flow and all the different shades of loving kindness. Gevura, or strength, is about boundaries. It's about that creation in a cosmic sense only happens with boundaries. It was only when God began to separate, there wasn't just light, but then waters separated and land separated from water, and greater distinctions and separations happened to create the multiplicity of creation. And all of those separations in the creation story all reflect the chesed, the generosity, the givingness of the Creator. All reflect the spirit and the presence of the Creator. And everything from the smallest beetle or butterfly or flower to the most awesome planets and cosmic, stars exploding, everything from small to large in all of its distinction and glory reflects the Creator. And so for all of us too, we are constantly setting boundaries in our life. And boundaries are as simple as making a decision, saying yes to one thing and no to another. As soon as we do that, we set a boundary. And that's part of the creation of our lives, how we do those things. So the question is do the boundaries that we set, do the decisions that we make, do they allow for more of God's presence to be, for us to be aware of that in our life? Do the boundaries we set actually create more connection? And that might seem a little counterintuitive, because a lot of times we think of boundary as separation, but here boundary as connection, as allowing two things that are complementary to be able to be together side by side. That's what the week of Gevura is about, is boundaries. And really, the translation for Gevura is strength, because sometimes setting certain boundaries or making certain choices doesn't take a lot of strength. Well, I'll have this kind of coffee or this kind of drink instead of this. But some of them, as we know, are hard decisions, take a lot of strength to have to set a boundary, to have to say no to something. And it takes a lot of presence in mind and a lot of thought to do that. Now, every day of this week is a different place that we focus on, a different aspect of boundaries. And today is Gevura Sheba Gevura. It's boundary within boundary. And one might think that is about, take boundary and square it, like more intense. But what I want to suggest is that Gevura Sheba Gevura can be looked at as being able to understand and be present to and conscious to the appropriateness of the boundaries that we set. So, and how we set it. So for instance, one aspect of Gevura is to say, there is something in my life that is harmful, whether that's a particular person's behavior, or something that I know is just not healthy for me, or whatever it is. And I make a determination, I make a judgment. Judgment is an aspect of Gevura, to say that I need to set a boundary around, this person, I'm not going to let this person into my house. Let's put it that way. However it is, I'm going to set this boundary, and this is what feels appropriate to me. But then there's the question of, how do I set the boundary? And that's gevura sheba gevura. How do I set the boundary? What is not only my judgment about what boundary needs to be set, but my judgment about what is the most effective way to set the boundary. And so now it may be, that maybe the most effective way is not to give, if we're talking about a person, a whole lot of excuses about, or a whole lot of, because they're going to feel like there's something that's not honest, and it's going to feel wrong. Maybe I have to be honest, and how do I be honest in a caring way? I mean, these questions of gevura sheba gevura are, there is not a one size fits all. It's every single situation of having to be thoughtful, not only what boundaries do I set, but how do I set it? And that has a certain amount of, we have to be able to understand some definition, be able to have some discernment about what is the person, the situation, our own state of mind. We've got to think about all of those things in how we set those boundaries. So for our meditation this morning, the gevura is an essential aspect of meditation, right? It's to make a decision moment by moment to keep our attention in a certain direction. That is gevura. We could call that concentration. We can call that decision. Just to say, I'm going to be present with my breath, with the experiences in my body, and my mind will want to go all over the place. And every time I'm aware of where my attention goes, I continue to bring it back to whatever the focus of the meditation is. Sometimes the focus is to bring it back into something like breath. And sometimes it's like we've talked about, it's not shifting away from the place that my mind has gone, but instead expanding beyond it. So I find myself thinking this particular thought, and instead, as soon as I notice that, I make the decision, I exercise my gevura to not only be focused on the place where my mind is going, but instead to expand my awareness to notice my breath and the place where my mind is and everything else that's happening around me. So whatever it is, that concentration, that sense of intention in where we direct our awareness is gevura. So we're going to pay attention to how gevura operates in our sit this morning. Okay, so want to invite you to get into a comfortable position. And we'll start with a melody, a nigun. Yai dai 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 da 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 dai. Yai 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 dai 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 yai 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 dai da 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 dai. Ya da da dai yai dai dai dai. Yai dai 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 da 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 dai. Yai 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 dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 da 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 dai. Ya da da dai yai dai dai dai. I die, 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 da, 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 die. I die, die. I die, 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 die. Ya die, da, 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 die. Ya da, da, die. I die, die, die. Ay, 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 da 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 da. I, 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 ya, da, 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 ya, da, 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 ya, da, 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 ya, da, 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 ya, ya. Die, 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 da, 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 die. Ya, da, da, die, ya, die, die, die. Ya, die, 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 da, 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 die. Ya, 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 die, 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 die. Ya, die, 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 da, 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 die. Ya, da, da, die, ya, die, die, die. I, die, 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 da, 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 die. I, die, die. I, die, 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 die. Ya, die, da, 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 die. Ya, da, da, die. I, die, die, die. I, die, die. Die, die, da, 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 die. Ya, die, ya, die. I, die, 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 die. Ya, die, da, 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 die. Ya, da, da, die. I, die, die. Just become aware of your body in space, the place where your bottom connects with the cushion or the chair, the distance between the bottom of your spine and the top of your head, the way your arms hang out of your shoulders and the resting place of your hands, the length of your legs as they extend out of your hips and end at the bottom of your feet, contacting against the floor. Let yourself be aware of the whole outline of your body in space. And as you're aware of the position of your body, of the sensations in your body, notice the movement of breath as it enters through your nostrils or your mouth, the way the body expands gently with the inhale, noticing that place where the inhale switches over to an exhale, and follow the air out. Noticing the place where the exhale switches over into an inhale, the body expanding and contracting with each breath. You can be aware of your whole body breathing. And as you pay attention to your breath and your body, Notice the decision that we make moment by moment to keep our attention in this area, to pay attention to breath and body. It's not just a choice we make once, but it's a decision that we make over and over again. And with the decision, our attention is brought to breath and body. This is concentration, the making of a choice over and over again. To place our attention on this moment, on breath, on body. You can also let in the sounds in your space, whether in your room or outside. You can let those sounds into your awareness as well. Letting your attention be open. So there's breath, there's body, there's sounds. If you'd like, you can make the decision at the beginning of each inhale to choose to be present for just one full cycle of breath and all of the phenomenon that accompany the breath, the expansion of the body, the sounds around, the feeling of the air on your face, the experience of the air as it enters your nostrils or your mouth. Just make the decision to be present for one inhale and exhale, one cycle of breath with everything that goes along with it. And then when you finish the exhale of that cycle, decide again, I'm going to be present for another cycle. And as you make the decision at the beginning of each cycle of breath, consider that it is not you making the decision, but the energy of Gevurah, that the Holy One is making that decision through you. It all comes back to that question of who is watching, who is deciding, who. And allow yourself, as you notice, not only make the decision moment by moment, breath by breath, to be present, but that you're also noticing the very decision-making itself, and allowing that to come from someplace beyond you. From allowing that to come from a presence that wants to know itself. From a presence that wants to be present with itself.